The Comedy Grinder Spotlight. Featuring Andrew Michael.
Recorded before a live studio audience at the First Church of Cannabis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Michael.
All right, how's it going, First Church of Cannabis? Guys doing good? All right. I was driving on the way here listening to the band Boston. Do you guys listen to Boston ever? Well, I didn't notice till recently. It turns out the singer of Boston, Brad Delp, actually killed himself very tragically several years ago. So I guess you could say his depression was more than a feeling. And then when he died, he finally had his peace of mind. So yeah, doing comedy, you're just always on the road, you know, staying in shitty towns, shitty hotels. Luckily, there's this new app I downloaded replacing hotels called Tinder. And not only was my stay half off, but it also came with a free continental blowjob. No, but yeah, like comedy, you're always in just like shitty towns. I would never like ever be there unless I was doing comedy. Like I was in Terre Haute the other night. You've never been in Terre Haute? Like, okay, I have respect over Terre Haute because I lived there for a year going to school, and it's one of those things. Like I'm like from Carmel, from fucking suburbs, like sheltered, gated community, and it's like Terre Haute. Like I lived there for like a year, and you always have respect for like, you know, that place you live that kind of broke you into like what real society is like. And it's like, you know, you get out from like, you know, your parents' house and see what shit is actually like out there. And no, it was like a life-altering experience because the first weekend I was there, I saw a dead body and a grown man eating leaves. I'm not making it up. Now the dead body was some guy on the side of the road who shot himself. Like I literally saw a grown like man, like a meth head, just eating piles. Like I'm talking piles of leaves, just like. There's really no like joke to that. It's just that's like the most like at a point in my life that had been the most like transformative and consequential thing that had ever happened to me. So yeah, when I wake up in bed next to an ugly girl, it provokes the same reaction to when I get in a drunk driving accident, because both situations involve me fleeing the scene of the crime. Both situations involve somebody getting severely rear-ended by me. And I'm either going to the doctor or to the auto mechanic to get my transmission looked at. So I had a buddy recently. He was stationed in Japan for the military. He like just got back recently. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Japanese like customs or culture, but it's a really like weird society, like Japan. I don't know if you knew this. They have the highest suicide rate in the world in Japan. Like if they ever like come out on a losing side or, you know, feel they lost face, they kill themselves, which I guess explains why professional sports never took off in Japan. It's like a weird ass place though too. Like in Japan, you will not see this anywhere else in the world, but in Japan they literally have vending machines that dispense used like women's panties in public. And they like will sniff it like it's a fucking Starbucks espresso. Like just in public, like businessman suit with impunity, like sniffing panties. And I guess it like kind of makes sense like in a way though, because you think about it, you're a successful businessman and you know, eventually coffee and Adderall is not going to do it anymore. So at which point you got to move on to the really hard shit, vagina. What else did I have? I don't know if you guys saw this recently, but George Bush was back in the headlines. He's really big into like doing oil paintings. I'm not exactly sure where he got the oil from. Well, it's like the weirdest story. He makes oil paintings, then he gives them to like veterans who are wounded in Iraq or Afghanistan, like, you know, as a consolation for serving, getting wounded and shit. But that's gotta be like the most awkward like conversation in the world. Like, hey, I saw you lost, you know, your arms and got your ball sack blown off in Baghdad, but here's this painting to make up for it. Like, what do you say at that point in time? That's like the most awkward conversation. Like, oh yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Maybe next time, like, bring me some paperwork linking Saddam Hussein to 9/11. That'll kind of make up for me not having a ball sack anymore. This is like kind of weird. I was watching the news recently. I found out somebody from my graduating class actually like murdered somebody recently, which is some deep shit. But I don't know, it's actually like kind of cool in a way. Like not for the victim or like the family, but like, it's just cool for like our class like in general, because now we can all breathe like a collective sigh of relief that like you're not the biggest fuck up anymore. Like I mean I fucking was so happy when I heard that. Honestly, I was like, oh, thank God, I can finally like relax. Like I know I'm not the biggest fuck up. Like I know that. Like I could do some like fucked up. Like I could like die of like autoerotic asphyxiation wearing a Cub Scout uniform, and my peers would like still think of me in a higher light than this dude who murdered somebody. But like the weirdest like thing about it though, it's like, so I mean it's like 1,200 kids in the class, so it wouldn't be weird because there's so many people. And it's just like, statistics, somebody's going to fuck up. But I knew this person. I sat next to them in class for like 4 years. And I always think it's like, kind of phony. Because when you watch like, the news and like interviews, they'll like ask people like, did you expect this to happen? They're always like, no, I had no idea. Like, he was such a nice person. I want to be that one person on the news just like, I'm not fucking surprised at all. I saw this shit coming from a mile away. Like, I'm sorry, but you're doing Oxycontin lines in class at 16. Like, you got a very low ceiling. Like, your ceiling is like hustling truckers for blowjobs at that point. So, I feel like bad in a way. It's like there's like a baby in the audience. There's like always like you read those stories where it's like if like you have your kid listen to like Led Zeppelin, music, or like like Beethoven when they're young, and like it makes them smarter. I'm like afraid that like the kid hearing like my jokes is like gonna like, have an adverse effect like 10 years from now. It's just kind of how my brain works, I guess. So yeah, I graduated from college recently. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Whenever I graduate, though, we'll have like a big event we do with my friends and family. Just like we'll have a big party, have a bonfire in the backyard, and we'll just like find stuff to like throw in the bonfire, old books and shit. And I found this sock that I had beat off into. And I remember like as I threw that sock in the fire, the first thought I had like going through my head was, I wonder how much this is gonna piss off the Christians. The jizz in the sock was like 4 or 5 months old. I think by that point it's supposed to have like some sort of consciousness. I think Joel Osteen is probably like really furious somewhere. Oh Lord! Oh my God! Oh my God, dude, Joel Osteen. But people like him are all cut from the same cloth, and it's a skid mark stained cloth. Believe me. The only people worse than the televangelists are the people doing like pyramid schemes, network marketing. These people. Any of them in here at night? Good, man, because I cannot stand those people always calling me, trying to sell me Vima or Amway or whatever shit it is. And it's like always the same sales pitch on the phone. Like, hey, man, I know you're saying no right now, but that's okay, because like every no brings me a little bit closer to a yes. It's like, every no brings me closer to punching you in the face. Yeah, so pretty good year so far, I guess. I've been doing a lot of splurging and a lot of splooging. Yeah, splurging and splooging. It's my two favorite things to do. Sometimes I'll splurge while I splooge, and other times I'll splooge while I splurge. I don't know if you know what those mean, but they're two very similar words with two very different meanings. If you like to, splurge, means you like to just buy shit constantly you don't need, just spend a lot of money on frivolous things. But if you like to splooge, it means you like to come on somebody. The thing is, I have like bad hearing. I'm like oblivious, so I just like mix words up all the time. So I'll be like on a date with a girl. She's like, yeah, like I love to just splurge. Or like, oh, you like to get splooged on? It's gonna work out well. Yeah, but I mean, it's been good lately. I graduated, got a job. I'm relatively happy. Thing is, though, I'm like one of those people. Like whenever like I'm like kind of in a good mood, like I just like think of all like my friends who are just like really just like miserable and happy no matter what. Like I have this one friend. He's like a combination of a guy. He's like a hipster, and he's also like hasn't been laid in a while. And that's like the recipe for being like the most miserable person on the planet. I'm sure somebody knows like somebody like that, but and, like, I hate like you try and like talk them up and like cheer them up. Like, it never works. Like, there's always in a bad mood, no matter what. It's like I'm trying to get him to like come out and like socialize, not be super antisocial. Get him out for a party on New Year's Eve. I give him my sales pitch. It's open and shut sales pitch. Like, hey man, like you should come to this party night. There's gonna be liquor and drugs and girls there. And he just whips back. What's it matter if we're just gonna die in the end? Oh man, I was gonna do this bit to say fuck you to anybody in advertising or marketing. I hated those people for like most of my life, but then I came to realize I don't really hate them. It's just like I'm envious of them because they can spin bullshit like I never thought would be possible. Real estate brokers are the all-time worst at it, though, because like real estate brokers will use all kinds of like buzzwords and euphemisms to like kind of fuck you over when you're buying a house. Like, this house is very up and coming. Like, it's an up and coming neighborhood. What is that? Just fancy way to say it's a former drug-infested war zone? Like, no, wait, hold on. Like, this house, you will have great access to the interstate. I was like, yeah, no shit, because it runs through my front yard. Like, one minute I'll be playing catch with my nephew, the next minute I'd be playing Frogger with a semi-truck. But people have like a interpretation of comedy. They think I can get up here and just bash people at will. Like, it's gonna matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't give a shit about me or my problems. You don't care if I can't, fucking pay my bills on time or, get, a student loan. So for now, when I'm up here, I'm just going to be lying through my teeth. Like the other day, I went to Comcast, and they beat up my mom. Like Comcast, they beat the shit out of my mom. It's bullshit. But if I say Comcast and woman beater enough times in the same sentence, I think you'll go to DirecTV, like, eventually at some point. I think the best... do you guys remember the Rob Lowe for DirecTV commercials? Remember that from like a couple years ago? I think the best advertising, though, was where they used like Kiefer Sutherland for Jose Cuervo. Like Kiefer Sutherland, he's like a former, he's like alcoholic with like 2 or 3 DUIs. And they talked to make him the spokesperson for like a really shitty brand of tequila. I just gotta say, it's like beautiful marketing. That'd be like if the makers of Zoloft and Prozac had the Columbine shooters as spokespeople. So I've been prescribed to Adderall for a while. Been prescribed to Adderall for like I think 3 or 4 years, but I never like will take Adderall. I'll just stockpile it, and then I'll wait till finals week, and then I'll go to the top floor of the library during finals week where everybody's studying. I'll take those massive stockpiles of Adderall and I'll just throw them everywhere and watch riots form left and right. Now, if you like throw Adderall, around the place during finals week, it's like the same, reaction you'd get if you went to like, Detroit and threw money everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks though. I haven't, I used to be prescribed it and they took me off it, and it's like I'm not, like religious really. I mean, I'm kind of like agnostic, but it's like, what is your God? Your God is like what you have power over that helps you like get strength through your problems. So I guess like Adderall in that effect would be my God, because all things are possible through Adderall. Physics, chemistry, calculus, financial analysis. Like it's all, they say it's possible through God. No, it's possible through fucking Adderall and cocaine and all that. All right. That's my set. Thank you. Good night.
Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for Andrew Michael.